Sup, my name is Rio for the Yugioh Council. Welcome to Coffee Time, your Monday morning discussion video. I'm here to say this really quickly. Released in the evening, but it's stylized as the morning video. But before we go straight into it, I didn't release any videos over the weekend except for one, because YouTube was having a bunch of malfunctions and was working on some big project stuff, so it kind of worked hand in hand together in tandem, and I'm happy about the end result. But don't worry, it does relate to this channel and the smaller channels. There's something for everyone here, and that's the benefit of the channel. But before we go fully more into that, I'll talk about it in a separate video. Let me go into today's discussion. Have pendulums ruined Yu-Gi-Oh? Have they really? Have they really now? Let's see. 3 of the upcoming meta decks are Pendulum. Some people on Dev Pro like to say, fuck Pendulums, hashtag Pendulum Revolution or Rebellion. I believe it's Rebellion. And there is the whole fact that there is a big base of Yu-Gi-Oh! Who do not like Pendulum, hence what has inspired this video to be created. Not my own self-views on how I hate Pendulums. I have no problem with Pendulums in general. I just think that, honestly, Konami did design them pretty dumb. That's pretty much the premises of where I'm going with this. How I came to brainstorm about it, so you can understand where my mindset is with this. Now, I'm going to refer to power creep. I know some people don't like the word power creep. Some people just don't like power creep in general, but it's very crucial to this part of the discussion. So let me break this down. This is going to be competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, but if you're a casual player, please don't feel left out. You can easily come into the discussion. You can easily talk about how you think about pendulums, and there's no wrong, there's no right answer at the end of the day. Just making it known so everyone feels comfortable. I'm addressing every one of the 6,000 and something subscribers at this point, and the random viewers who may be coming to the channel. I don't mean to call you random, but I don't know what to call you. But anyway, let's go into this. So, when Pendulums were first released, people were like, oh, that's nice, reoccurring monsters nonstop. Okay, that's kind of broken, but it was balanced to a degree. But there wasn't broke stuff. Yeah, that's kind of Konami's trend. That's what they do. You know, we had this with synchros where the worst synchro you dealt with was Stardust, and people bitched about Stardust, believe it or not, during Teledad. And then they released something called fucking, I don't know, Trishulia, or they call it whatever way you want to say Trishulia. But they released that, they released Bryonac, they released all these freaking, like, Nat Beasts you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Synchros. So even when I refer to the you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh, that's still always been a thing to a degree, but I'm going to go into this fully. Konami is known for wanting your money. And that's business 101. You know, at the end of the day, you need money. Money makes the world go around, except for 10% of the world. Basically, you can buy yourself everything. Except love, but that's a different topic for a different video. When it comes down to it, Konami wants to make the most profit the quickest way, the easiest way, so they release a card that gets people hype, and then people buy into the card, and they release something called Pendulum, which is giving life to a lot of older decks, and some people don't want to look at that factor, which I'm going to bring up, but they want to look at the broken factor. So let's look at the broken factor. Konami can easily release garbage pendulums, and then no one would want those pendulums, and then they would just sit there and they would rot, and then people would bitch that there was nothing good in the set. But if you give them something a little bit too overpowered instead of just good and generic, something like Raigeki, where it's good and generic, or Black Rose, where it's good and generic, or Exorcism Knight, where it's pushing the limit a little bit, then you get the, why did they make this? This is so broken. Why does this deck need new support? But that's always been a thing, and to be fair, Konami does that because they want your money. But at the end of the day, the question is, have pendulums truly ruined Yu-Gi-Oh? And that's, I'm trying to lay down the groundwork here to where I'm taking this. So when it comes down to it, we've been through so many shitty formats before. Whether you call Dino Rabbit shitty or you had fun with it. Some people didn't because you couldn't play Yu-Gi-Oh. Ah, see? There was another you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh. There was Infinity 6 Samurai format where dice roll wins. I set 3 barriers. You can't play Yu-Gi-Oh. Ha! See, You see where I'm going with this? We're getting into this new format with Pendulums that says you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! We have it with Mega Monarchs. We have it with the Amorphage that were revealed on Friday. You can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Have fun! And it gets to a situation where you probably feel like Pendulums are the cause of the problem because they are the number one source of new support that Konami's pushing down people's throats there. They are pushing down and pushing down. To be fair, they are releasing Synchros and Exceeds and Tribute Monsters and Ritual Monsters. So they're giving you a little bit of everything. Oh, and there's also Fusion Monsters. And there's Legacy support. So Konami's doing right on every end except for that Pendulum push, right? Here's where I'm going with it. Pendulums did not ruin Yu-Gi-Oh! Konami ruins Yu-Gi-Oh! If anything. But they are 50% of the problem. We can blame Pendulums, but it's a scapegoat blaming. We could blame ourselves for buying the product, or we could blame Konami for making the product. Or we can even blame the secondary market for making Cosmo a $500 deck when, let's all be honest here, it probably won't perform as well as Performer Pal and Friends. Flame War, I know, I'm an asshole, I said it, it's true, the deck is great, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be tier 0. If anything's going to be tier 0, most likely it'll be Performer Pal and Friends, unless someone finds a way to fully utilize the new stuff and break the shit out of Cosmos. It ain't going to happen. I'm not saying that they're not going to break the deck, I'm just saying in general, that's not going to happen. In the sense of, the deck isn't right now going to be tier 0. Alright, with that out of the way, let me get into the full source of what I'm saying here. Pendulums, on paper, look like they ruin Yu-Gi-Oh! But they have given so much pseudo-legacy support to these older decks that truly need it. Dark Magician's a great example of this. Last week I released the Magician... I haven't released that yet. It's coming out. But Dark Magician Pendulums is something you could play, have that competitive aspect, go to your locals and win locals. Hell, you may even be able to take it to regionals and do well. Not saying that you're not going to have an uphill battle against other things, but variants don't always do the best, but hey, give it a shot. When it comes down to it, it's this. Pendulums did not ruin Yu-Gi-Oh! At the end of the day. They may seem like they've ruined Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they constantly come back. I think the key source of that is we have not found out the true way of dealing with them. Because if you break the scales, more will go on there. And then they just drop 5 again. But if you place Bottomless Trap Hole on the 5 they drop, they all get banished out. And that stops them. That alone. But that's only one card. If you sell them Warning, if you sell them Notice, if you sell them Scolding. But Ryu, those are only 4 different cards. Okay, if you Black Horn of Heaven, if you could Black Horn of Heaven it, if you Horn of Heaven it, you negate the summon. Those are more options. And honestly, there's options for everything. But again, it comes down to this X factor does not stop this Y factor from being a broken source. This is still an issue, obviously. But to be fair, if we go back about just when I started the channel, Exceeds were a problem. If we go back even further, Synchros were a problem. If we go back even further than that, GBs, Teledad, where Dad Return, Banish, Remove, Chaos stuff, Malicious. There's always been a problem in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because let's be honest here, there's always new stuff coming in. And when new stuff comes in, older stuff may get more broke again, or may be the best counter ever, like Anti-Spell Fragrance right now. It will pretty much shut down every Pendulum deck out there to the point of no return, unless they got that Twin Twister going on, you know what I'm saying? And it just comes down to it. You're sitting there and going, how the hell do I stop this? How the hell do I... And some people don't want to. Some people just want to go and with their pitchforks and say, this is broken. Screw this. But let's be honest here. Every single thing in life has to evolve in some degree. Even us as people, I know I'm theorizing something that I shouldn't be theorizing within Yu-Gi-Oh! Because that's not what we do in the community, but I feel from an outside point, this is interesting to say, we all evolve in some way. We're not the same person we were yesterday because we have new experiences. And that, at the end of the core of what I'm trying to say here, is exactly what Yugioh has to do, exactly what your favorite game has to do if they want to keep moving forward and keep living on. If they gave you the same shit over and over and over and over again, you're going to go, well, I'm bored of this. And you know who gave you the same shit 90% of the time? Duel Masters. And I'm not even hating on the game, but 90% of the time, that's all it was. And that's why it went downhill. Competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! To a degree is like that. And that's pretty much why I stepped away from it. Not the sole reason, but one of the reasons. To me, it felt the same. It's the same, this deck does this, and you get in those same formats where it's, you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Hey, this is a great format. But then you have those one-off formats that are just so fucking good and so much fun to play in, where you have like Mermels and Fire Fists and just diversity out the ass. And it's fun to play in those formats. It's not dull. I mean, don't get me wrong. I liked it when there was only 2 meta decks. I only had to worry about 2 fucking meta decks. Right now, I'm going to have to worry about at least 4 to 5. Not even counting the rogue factor. And back in the day, rogue factor was only like fucking anti-meta or something of the sort, and those options were limited. When it comes down to it, in my eyes, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was not ruined by Pendulums. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still not ruined. It's just the inevitable revolving door that we get when it comes to what Konami wants to push out. We've had this about a year ago, and then a year passed, and a year passed, where basically it's the inevitable power creep that comes way too quickly and too powerful that's still a problem to this game, and at the same time, it's the rush of new support to make the most amount of money. And as sales are already showing, well, those are flying off the shelf, so we're all guilty at the end of the day, whoever buys it. Just to be fair, it's kind of true. Breakers of the Shadow will be an amazing set, but it will also at the same time tell Konami, hey, look, your new system works, and you can pretty much just, no. Konami shouldn't be listening to that. They should be listening to the community to a degree when it comes to how they make product. It's the same issue, and I know I'm going to hit fucking flame ward for this too, that WWE is having right now compared to NXT. One product's really good, and the other is absolute garbage. Because whoever the hell, puts it together is not thinking correctly, and then it takes an outside viewership to say, that's not right. And that's why I always come to you guys and say, how is the channel doing? What do you want to see on the channel? Because that outside viewership is crucial at the end of the day. And Konami does need to hear your opinions at the end of the day. If they just shut down and say, we're not listening to your opinions, how can they evolve the game going to the main source of what Pendulums really do cause? It's not the brokenness in Pendulums. It's the fact that Konami doesn't want to listen and will shove down some new shit. In about a year and a half from now, there'll be a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, and they'll go from there. I'm not saying there will be, I'm just saying in general that seems to be the trend. I don't think Pendulums ruin Yu-Gi-Oh! I think Konami and a toxic community can ruin it even further than it already has been tarnished to a degree. I think if we up the community a little bit better and we put our best foot forward, in all honesty, I'm not saying to kiss Konami's ass or nothing like that, then we can have a hell of a lot more fun. At the end of the day, have a much better community in game. And then we can come together proactively in a responsible manner and tell Konami exactly what we think, to the point that maybe they would listen. I'm not trying to be the white knight on the horse. Technically, I'm allergic to horses, so I can't even be. To come in and say, this is what we want, Konami, this is what we want to change. I probably will not start a revolution or a change in the community at all. But in my little community here with you guys, the council, I think we have to a degree. So I thank you for watching, as always, and I hope you enjoyed this coffee time. It's a little bit out there. Do you think Pendulums have ruined Yu-Gi-Oh! After hearing my thoughts? Have I altered your thought process on the whole thing, or did you just say, I'm sticking to my thoughts and there's nothing wrong with that? Obviously, there's nothing wrong with that. Share your thoughts down below. I'm ready for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Council. See you on the next one. There's a lot of requests coming out this week. Don't worry. Red Dragon Synchros, I think, is like the first one going